Welcome back, Star Wars fans, to Coruscant Radio Underground. I'm Andrew here tonight with Ro from the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, and we should have another guest joining us momentarily. And there's always a possibility of someone I don't know is coming popping in, so we'll see if anybody else shows up tonight. But let's run through the chat real quick. Thank you everybody that's here. Oh wait, one more guest has arrived.
It's all Megan.
Oh, wait, we're gonna have to move the.
I look at my red. Look at me. Oh, there. Oh. It was like joining, and I'm like, yeah, I want to join. So I finally exited and retried it, and I'm like, here we go again. We'll try again. So I'm so excited.
Glad you're here.
I'm so pumped.
See, you weren't sure if you were going to feel up to it, but you just needed to watch that episode. And
I know I was tired, and then all of a sudden, this one particular beginning of the episode moment happens, which we will talk about, and I went, and then I just exploded. The surprise that what they should have done with Anakin, they did with this person, and I'm like, yeah, so excited. So
yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm excited about in this episode. But let's see. So Megan is in the chat. When I first logged in here, I was like, man, there's 11 comments already in the chat, and I hadn't even started yet. It was all Megan. Megan is very excited. So we got Megan in here, and Isaac is in the chat. Ubaldo's in the chat, and Patrick is in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we'll see who else pops in as we go. Yay! But yeah, so just general thoughts. Ro, what'd you think?
I loved it. So, I'm continuing to really enjoy the newness of this galaxy. Yes. And not that I'm kind of like tired of the old galaxy and seeing, Star Wars on the small screen. I think we all get used to it from time to time. I think some of the things that I kind of, complain about, I always like, that's the first thing that I see. And it's like, oh, come on, clean uniforms and this and that, whatever, all that stuff. But, something about this new galaxy, this environment, the things that are happening in this place that we really don't know a lot about, both environment and story-wise, is really exciting to me. Grogu is going to eat Thrawn. No, I hope not. But yeah, so that's I really enjoyed, we last week we talked about how what did we enjoy more? The episode, was it 5? With Anakin in the World Between Worlds, yeah. or the once we got to this new galaxy. I mean, like I said, I'm really enjoying the newness of everything that we've seen so far in these last 2 episodes.
Yeah, same. It's very, very fresh feeling. Just lots of new stuff we've never seen before. I love the knowing that Dave Filoni is a fan of Tolkien. I can't help but see the Hobbits a little bit in the Noti.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of fun little things there. But Nicole, what'd you think?
Oh my gosh! Overall, again, I just loved it. It's like another episode that I am just enthralled and excited about, and couldn't wait to talk about. And yes, very excited. Loved it. And to Megan, C2E2. So I guess you'll have to come up and visit us.
Yeah, Megan. April, I think, was it?
Right, April and then it's
April
called
this year.
Mark your calendars next year for 2024, people, because we got C2E2 in April, and then we got Red 5 ScareCon.
Woohoo! So
your thunder on that one.
But lots of new things. Before we go any deeper than that, though, I just want to, if you're watching this for the first time, and I want to say this because I know we had a lot of new people come through for this last week. So I do want to point out this is all spoilers. We're not holding anything back. We're not doing our full show because we do have full shows coming up later this week where we'll do our full reviews. But I mean, hey, it's all fair game tonight. We're just not, maybe won't go quite as deep, but just last chance, it will be spoiler filled. So as we move forward, I think just so there's a lot of cool stuff in the episode, but there's one thing in the beginning of this episode that I was just a really important piece of information that Dave gave us. We know that this is happening after Mando season 3.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes. I caught that too.
Yeah, so because we've been speculating, we just didn't know, and we were. I know I've been assuming that was the case, but we really had no way of knowing, and there were little things that kind of made me go, this could be before Mando, but we got full confirmation that this is taking place probably sometime immediately after the events of Mandalorian season 3, which is really important for the timeline. So now we know we're definitely in 9 ABY, maybe 10 ABY. So that was very good because that was important information we needed as we look forward to whatever the movie is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But what did y'all think about that opening scene? It wasn't where I expected to open the show.
I think I expected it because I read the description
read that
beforehand, and that was the last point in that little paragraph that they had, and I'm like, well, they're probably gonna square that away before we go back to the main stuff in the other galaxy.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I thought that was good. But what did y'all think about the scene? I know I've seen a lot of reaction. As much cool stuff as we got in this episode. I think just a quick glance online before we got on here, I've probably seen more reaction to the first 5 minutes of this episode than anything else that happened.
And I think I posted, right away that nostalgia definitely played a role for me as why I enjoyed this episode. And namely, hearing his voice at the beginning. And then, the camera kind of goes over to that scene and he's trying to get in, and it's none other than our favorite goldenrod, C-3PO.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think for fans, I think it really, it pumped my blood. And I think obviously because, he's a prominent character in the original trilogy, but I think, I don't know, man, it's an interesting thing to kind of feel as an older fan, because he means a lot to a lot of people. And I think that's what people are going to be, latching on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, having him show up, having C-3PO, so that's who we're talking about. We hadn't said it out loud, but C-3PO shows up, and I love, because a lot of people are going to go, oh, it's just all about member berries. No. But it's done so well. It makes sense. It makes complete and total sense for the story. That's all that matters to me. Like, give me nostalgia all day long as it works in the story.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nostalgia was part of George's formula when he wrote the first movie. So give it to me all day long. I love that stuff, but it was so good. I love that Chopper was ready to well, when he said mere droid, Chopper was ready to throw hands.
Right. That was hilarious.
What do you think, Nicole?
Well, you can tell my reaction. I'm like, I can use my facial expressions to talk about it. I absolutely loved that opening. I loved it. One, I wanted to kick that other senator's scuttle butt in a whole nother direction.
Yeah.
Trust me. Okay, you guys. One, I still have a feeling that that dude is no good. There's something. I think he's in on something. I think he knows more than he's saying. I absolutely do not like him. I was trying to find the senator's name. He's not even in the credits. What's ticking me off?
Oh, Senator Ziona?
Ziona, sorry. I was trying to find the actor who plays him,
Yeah, I'm not sure who the actor is. But, of course, we know that's Kaz's dad from Resistance.
Yeah,
who might have been friendly to the First Order when we meet him.
Yeah,
so
right.
Exactly.
This makes sense.
Yes.
He's already playing that side.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I don't trust him whatsoever. But when C-3PO showed up, I was like, oh my God. And then they interrupt again of Leia. I was just like,
it's great.
Yeah.
I love how Dave Filoni is kind of bringing things in that I'm sure other fans have kind of talked to him about, or even, other creatives have said, it would make sense to do this, or it'd be interesting to kind of introduce that. And then, even getting back to the recording of Anakin, where
Oh, yeah, yes.
that was pretty fabulous as well, because you think, well, how else is he going to be coming back to the show? This was a perfect way. And I think,
Yeah.
Yes.
did you see her put back, the little data disc back into a case? She had a whole bunch of them,
Yeah.
which is
that was
really
so
which is really
cool.
great. Yeah, those, we assume that those are different recordings. She mentions that, he made various recordings for her to help train her.
Mhm.
So it's it'll be good if they, continue to kind of show different aspects of Anakin in the show. I mean, we got one episode left, but
Is that
still,
crazy?
yeah,
Yeah.
You
At this point, it
guys,
feels very crazy. Like,
I'm not gonna. And here's the other thing. I feel like there is a lot of pressure writing on next week's episode, because so far every episode I have liked and or loved every episode so far. I keep putting myself back into this let them tell me the story box, which has helped a lot this time around. But there is that pressure, like next week has to be like ultimate delivery after today and last
yeah,
week, because like
I know.
like I just
so yeah, I mean, I guess how you feel about next week is partially going to come down to how you feel about cliffhangers, because I
it's
think we're
coming.
going to
We know
get,
it's
I think we're really going to get left hanging here. I don't know.
It actually also might be a longer episode. I think the
I'm
first episode,
hoping it's over an hour.
the first episode was what, 115?
Almost.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So I'm gonna assume that this last episode, and I think it's directed by Filoni, if I remember
no, it's
correctly.
not.
No.
It's Rick.
It's
It's Rick
not.
Famuyiwa.
Oh,
I
well, that's
know.
interesting though,
Rick has been
'cause
very good.
he's been
Yeah,
very good with those
better
endings.
deliver that.
Yeah.
He's got. I
So,
mean,
all right, cool.
And he's been working. I mean, he's worked with Dave for a few years now,
Mhm.
and they've worked really well together on these season finales. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with. I don't think, and it was obviously Dave's option. If
Sure.
Dave passed this episode off to someone else, then he felt good about it.
Right.
So
this is me hoping and praying all at the same time.
And and I don't mind cliffhangers. I think
Mhm.
as fans, and especially as content creators, it gives us kind of an opportunity to, you know, um, you know, play in that sandbox with ideas and concepts and guesses, and discuss, back and forth. And I think that's in a healthy way, that's a great way to kind of spend the time in between seasons. If we, obviously we're going to get another season.
Yeah.
But
do you think we're going to get another season, or do you think we're just going to get the movie?
I don't know if we're gonna.
I don't know.
It's too soon to be thinking about the movie. I think, I don't know. It's going to be, unless I mean, we talked about Stranger Things goes 2 years in between. I know the BBC does a lot of that too. American audiences are too impatient to go through 2 years, but I know they've been doing that lately.
Mhm.
We've had kind of a partial follow up to a season where it's only 4 or 5 episodes, and then they stop for a couple months to kind of catch up. But we'll see what happens. I'm okay with waiting, because don't rush it.
Yeah. I think that we will get, I don't think we're going to get a really solid idea. I mean, it's possible that they're going to tease possibly even another show that we haven't heard
That's what
of
I was
yet
thinking. That's
when
what I was
this one
thinking.
ends next week,
Mhm.
because they have done that.
Yep.
It's also very possible that we're just going to be left not knowing until the strike's over.
The whole way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because we're almost done. We can see there's light at the end of the tunnel for the WGA strike, but I mean, they're not even meeting with with SAG this week. So
Yeah.
so I don't know. I think we're getting close, but I think until studios can start setting timelines for getting back in the studio, then I think all bets are off on what's coming next, and when, and how soon. So That's the unfortunate part of this. There's going to be a little bit of a lag. Now, there's still the possibility we do have another show occurring in this era, if they go through with it. I've heard a lot of varying things about Skeleton Crew. I've heard some people say it's great. I've heard some people say it'll never see the light of day. I don't know what's going to happen. But that show is set in this era and could very well tie to whatever's next as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see on that end what's coming. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. But I do hope next week's episode is longer. And honestly, if Rick Famuyiwa kills it next week like he's done with his last few episodes, at some point you got to talk about letting him take a show himself. I would think.
I want proof. Proof is in the pudding. I will see next week.
I mean, he's been. I don't know that he's done a bad episode of anything he's been involved in Star Wars yet, but
quite a few theories in the chat here. I like Isaac. Isaac's got a couple.
Isaac, and then
cargo will be loaded. Heroes will possibly be dead. Thrawn will jump into hyperspace. Shin will be stranded. Shin will be stranded on a planet with Ro. Hints of the Bendu will be laid.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the cargo that they're loading is, so I've been trying to figure out how they're going to get off this planet. And I suppose the cargo is well, yeah, I know how Thrawn's getting off. But how are our heroes getting off the planet?
Yeah, I mean, if the whales are fine, maybe they'll just go back the same way, or you know, they'll pull a Han Solo and get right up to the garbage chute and just
okay, y'all. Do you think? Okay, one, were they really killing the whales? Do you think the whales weren't really going there to die? Do you think they were actually killing the whales on purpose? The Purgles on purpose?
I do think that historically the whales were going there to die, but I do think this particular time,
no, right?
Yeah. I think they were going because they, you know, I think we've pretty well established that the Purgle are a force sensitive being, and
right,
you know, they knew the need, Ahsoka's need to get there. So
right. When they started, like, the minefield started blowing up, I was like, oh my God, they're hurting the space whales. They're hurting the Purgles. No, who does that? You know?
It's too far, Megan, and they don't have enough fuel.
No gas stations along the way. It's like driving across the desert.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, we can argue. I mean, you know, maybe that's how they get back, and maybe it takes them so long to travel back. That's how Thrawn's going to get back ahead of them and get established. I don't know. I'm excited for Dave to tell me the story.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm going to start writing that. Let Dave tell me the story, okay?
All right, rural farm boy.
Patrick, hey, my name's Nicole. Patrick also had a really good theory. He says, what's up with Balin? Will he help to take down Thrawn? Oh, dude, that would be killer.
I don't know what his end game is.
I think Balin, I don't even know if Balin's quest is related to
any of it.
Right.
I think it's totally aside and setting up something else.
Right.
And I think it's setting up something pretty bad.
Right. And I think with Balin, I think honestly, I think in order to keep Ray Stevens' memory, I think it's best that they end his journey here. But that's just me. So
well, yeah. Who knows? I mean, I was actually during the lightsaber battle between him and Ahsoka again. I was expecting him to die. And obviously, you know.
And when he got up, I was like, what?
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. So I do think that Balin is going to finish whatever it was he's there to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. There are some pretty wild theories out there, including him releasing Abeloth from the Legends material, which would be extremely wild. I actually had started to speculate that he was intentionally, when he talked to Shin, that he had trained her for something more. I was a little starting to feel like maybe he was delivering her to Abeloth.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I mean, that's a wild theory. There are a couple others. I mean, we don't know. There could be anything on that planet.
Right.
We had the really awesome Easter egg last week with regard to the Zepho.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's a lot of options there, but I'm not sure that whatever Balin's doing is not a potentially opening an even bigger door than the rest of this show's dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, if we talk about introducing a new, really, really big villain back into the universe, whether it be something to do with the Ones or Abeloth or something like that.
I think Isaac mentioned Bendu.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I love the character of Bendu. I don't see how.
I think we're running from an evil. I think that's what's been indicated, and I don't think that's Bendu.
Right.
I think that I have different feelings about the Bendu and his being in the middle because I don't, because we've talked about this. I don't buy the middle argument.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think the middle is a cop out to not act. But I do think, and I think that's what Kanan calls him out on.
Right.
But the I get the impression that there's something so sinister out there that even the Night Sisters want out. Like they're ready to leave with Thrawn because of whatever's on this planet. So I don't think it's the Bendu. I think it's something worse. But I guess we'll have to see what that is. It's probably just Snoke sitting somewhere in his gold pajamas.
Oh, Lord have mercy. You don't want to lose everybody. Come on, Andrew. I think Rue just left the building.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I did see some folks that were pointing out a line that Balin said regarding you have to destroy in order to create.
Mm-hmm.
And they were taking that line and saying that he's there to somehow erase the sequel trilogy. Mm-hmm. And I mean that rhetoric is ridiculous to me. Disney's not going to erase.
That comes up basically every show that's come out.
Right? People
we've
say,
heard, they're retconning the sequel trilogy rhetoric.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get it. Like, I understand there's people that's their end all for Star Wars right now. That's all they want. Like, they're not going to be happy with Star Wars until that happens. And there's no reason for them to do it. It's like, I don't love the sequels. I mean, at least the second two, I thought Force Awakens was a good movie, and I thought the others had high points, like strong Star Wars moments, but are otherwise flawed movies. But like, let them build the lore. Let them build the 30-year lore in between the trilogies.
Right.
And because a lot of it was because we had nothing to get us to where we ended up.
Right.
And some of it's just never going to be okay, but it is what it is now. And it doesn't have to ruin Star Wars. There's a lot of other Star Wars out there to love.
Accept and move on.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, eventually, like, they're going to keep telling stories. The sequel trilogy isn't harming stories told in the 30-year gap in between trilogies. And honestly, it doesn't even have to have a negative effect on anything they do post sequel trilogy. They can come back and do a Rey movie and it can be fantastic. It's really going to depend on who heads it up, who writes it.
Sure.
So I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of that rhetoric out there right now about, but most of that rhetoric is, we're in a new galaxy now and we're not going back for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see how that
makes sense.
The stakes of the story go way down if we're not going back.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Doesn't mean a thing. Right. What did you guys think of Thrawn? They did a really good job in some of his lines and some of his scenarios where, he's really shining when it comes to his logistics, his planning, his setting things up. He's like seeing the bigger picture, where a lot of the characters that we're used to are what do you call it? Used to just, the big battles and things like that. And Thrawn's like, leave it alone. We have other fish to fry, which I think is great. What's up, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
So all the stuff that Thrawn does in the animated series, I think he's doing a good job in continuing that
Agreed.
that thread, that
Yes.
yeah,
that
no, I
idea.
thought Ron was great, and like I'm really having had more time with the character live action. I'm buying it. Like
Mhm.
I'm all about it. Um, very very excited to see where they're going with Thrawn. I mean, we got to see the tactical mind of Thrawn at work a couple of
Mhm.
times in this episode, which was a lot of fun. What?
Isaac, his last comment.
He's gonna be a space cowboy. Cue the music.
I'll watch that. I'll see that movie. Sign me up.
Who's going to direct that? That's what I want to know. Adam Sandler.
No, Scorsese. You'll love it.
So yeah, I mean, what did you think, Nicole, about Thrawn in this episode?
I'm liking Thrawn. I agree with Ro about the dialogue and him knowing the logistics, the things that makes Thrawn.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still
Yeah.
I know that not everyone's on board with him, how his physique looks. I'll go with the at word because that seems to be more or less the thing. If he had been like manly, full on, like how he was maybe 9 years ago, 10 years ago, in between this and Rebels, maybe he was, all like that. But honestly, I think the line delivery is great. Everything's just adding up for me. So
yeah, but I said it last week. He was totally worth giving the role to for the voice alone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
The voice.
It would. I mean, honestly, like he did so good with that voice and with that in Rebels. Like, I almost just hated the thought of hearing someone else do the lines. That's he took a 30-year-old character and now that's the way I hear that character.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think about the stormtroopers or the night troopers. I think we had some theories from last week that we can dismiss now.
Yeah,
about them being undead, zombies or being like Merrick. I mean, we saw a lot of them die. We didn't see, puffs of green smoke or they're what these troopers have become in 10 years of isolation. They've become fanatical.
Yeah. And as I love stormtroopers, they're probably my favorite, the original looking Thrawn.
He does look like Elon Musk a little bit.
Sure does.
Yeah.
That's gonna be later on my wait a dang minute post. See how far that one goes. But I love these stormtroopers. They have a certain texture to them. They have a certain weight that I think some of the other stormtroopers, even in Mandalorian, didn't. And I think it's because of their haphazard costumes. They're pieces that are hanging all over the place, but there's a certain, I don't know, cool style to them.
Yeah.
And I always love stormtroopers.
Oh, I'm all about new stormtrooper variants. They've started announcing some of the Black Series stuff, and they haven't announced that one yet, but surely it's coming.
I'm excited to see if we'll see any at C2E2 already for next year. I'm like,
I'm sure we will. We'll probably get a couple of Enochs.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we still don't know a lot about Enoch. I thought we'd learn more about him this week, but it was really all about. It was, about Ahsoka, and again, Ro already mentioned it, but the training sequence. I kind of did y'all get the impression that this was the first time she had watched the final lesson from Anakin?
Possibly.
Yeah.
That she had never had the closure enough to maybe watch that final lesson.
Ooh, yeah, good point. Because of the feelings, the emotions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can see that.
So I thought that was very neat. So we got a lot of that. We're seeing Ahsoka the kids were like, she's so much fun now. And I was like, yeah, like her conscience is a lot more clear now.
Yeah.
What did you guys, were you guys excited when, okay, one real quick, I got to talk about this before we totally wrap up in the long run of things. This, again, I got to get out of my system. Sabine to me still fights like a Mandalorian. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like, I'm like, why do they keep pushing this whole thing? I mean,
I
make
think they're
sense to
telling
me.
a story there, though. I mean,
Right.
you know, I think they made a point. I mean, Hu
Trying-
Yang says very few Mandalorians have ever become Jedi, and
Right.
it seems the implication seems to be that because of the way they're raised, most of them are not able to overcome the
Right.
Mandalorian.
Because I
training.
watch and I'm like watching the fighting style. I'm like, wow, this is really good. Like she's a good fighter. She's a Mandalorian fighter. But then you have Ezra and he's already using the Force, and you're like, okay, this makes sense, and it makes sense.
I mean, she threw up her arm torches more than once, and that's very, you know, obviously Mandalorian.
Right.
She blocks the lightsabers with her, you know, with her Beskar, you know, arm guards. So you can definitely tell that her training is kicking in, and that training is more Mandalorian than Jedi.
Exactly. Yeah. I am like, just embrace the Mandalorian and let's go.
Well, that may be part of what her story is here. We don't know yet. Obviously, we've got a little ways to go, but you know, maybe it's embracing who she is and not what other people have wanted her to be.
There's been so much push though on her for being a Jedi, even if she's
is that our interpretation? Because even Ahsoka in the first episode said, "I don't want her to be a great Jedi. I want her to be herself."
Yeah.
Exactly.
I still think that Ahsoka is largely about giving her the tools to keep her alive.
Well, we can go with that instead, because that makes more sense. Like, let me show you other fighting styles, so that way we can keep you alive.
I mean, I don't know what. I mean, maybe at some point. I mean, obviously she has some connection to the Force, and I still think that it's fair to go back to Rebels and say it was always there. We saw hints of it. We saw nods to something going on with her.
Yeah.
But what her connection is, here's the thing. I don't expect Dave to just say, oh, by the way, now she's like super Jedi, right? Like he has too much respect for this lore, I think, to just
that's true.
Totally go against the grain and just say, oh, now she has all the Jedi abilities.
Right.
But can she learn some of them? Can she learn enough to benefit them in this fight? I think that's more along the way they're going, and I think they'll stick to that.
I guess we'll see. We'll see. Again, I'm going to continue. Let Dave tell the story, and just, you know, Dave, I trust. I've been seeing it. We're good.
Well, before we get too long here, we need to talk about Ezra. We hadn't talked about Ezra at all, and we didn't get a lot of Ezra last week, but we got a little more Ezra tonight. What did y'all think?
So awesome, yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna. So I had posted something. I said the only one thing that annoyed me about tonight's episode, and I'll tell you on Coruscant Radio Underground's live. So here we are. Chat, get ready. It still annoys me that they're not talking about Thrawn. Sabine saw Thrawn, saw Enoch, saw everybody in the Star Destroyer. Why isn't she not telling Ezra, you know, he's up there, he's ready to leave or whatever? And then why is Ezra not saying, hey, when we jumped into here with the Purgles, you know, this happened. And I know, okay, Dave, tell me a story, but you know, 2 episodes past, learning that that Ezra was still alive. Those 2 points for me are a little iffy. This is like information that I would want someone to know if I came to rescue them.
I think there was a key piece of information that came out of Sabine's mouth at the end of the episode that goes a long ways towards telling us what her mindset was. She thinks Ahsoka's dead. I think she thinks she has found Ezra and they're not going home. They're staying right there. I think she got what she wanted. She wanted to find Ezra. And I don't think she has, until she learns that Ahsoka's alive, I don't think she has any hope of leaving. And so she's just not willing to even talk about it.
Good point.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I agree, though, with Ro, though, a bit here is that I am surprised that their character, Sabine, is not communicating a very vital, important information.
I mean, they're both not communicating vital information, I feel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And
He looks like his dad.
So I don't know. I mean, I think there's some, they've been apart for 10 years. I think there's some awkwardness. I think there's some lack of interest in pressing each other for information because Ezra's not sharing. I mean, we don't know how Ezra's even alive at this point.
Other than that he's been with that pack of.
Yeah, but how did he escape the Star Destroyer? I mean, there's
Right.
a whole, and I don't know that Dave necessarily has to go back and give us that information. We know he survived. That's enough. But like they're not either one of them really sharing a lot.
Yeah, but for me, like I said, it's that missing piece. You go to great lengths to be with somebody and you want to tell them everything,
Yeah.
We did this and I sacrificed for you and I'm here to rescue you. It might be a little complicated getting back, but so it's like those little details, like to me are like jarring. It takes me out of it, like when you're not sharing that information back and forth. And both characters, I mean, tell each other what's going on, because I think it's vital information. It's like need to know. It's not need to know basis. It's like, I need to know, how the hell did you get way out here and how are we getting back?
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely a little odd that they're not having that conversation.
Megan says we're going to get it in a comic book. No.
I mean, at this point, we're not going to get it on screen. I mean, if they wanted to see an uptick in their comic book sales, that would do it. Give me like a 4-episode arc of, comic arc of how Ezra and Thrawn, their arrival in this new galaxy. And yeah, you'd sell the heck out of those.
Probably. We did at least get another talk. They did mention Zeb this time. That was kind of nice, knowing that he's really the only one that we haven't gotten yet out of the Rebel group, since this one started. Obviously, we saw him in The Mandalorian, which excited the living crap out of us. So, but that was nice to also get a little nod to him.
Yeah.
The information that she did tell him about.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think we do open up next week with a lot of information being spilled now that Ahsoka's there. For whatever reason, Sabine wasn't, for whatever her reason was for not sharing, whether it's just a odd bit of writing or whether it was meant to be that she's really doesn't see them going back. I think the moment she hands Balin the map on Cetos, she gave up. Like, I think she sees, and I do find with one of the things I found interesting last week that I didn't even get into on our show last week. I don't know why I didn't really think about it before, but the witches didn't see, there's a thread they didn't see, that loose thread, tying that with what Hu Yang tells Ahsoka about Sabine. Maybe she made the only choice that she could. The only thread that the witches didn't see in Thrawn's planning was Sabine making that decision. It's Sabine is the thread that they didn't see in the beginning, the beginning of Ahsoka getting there as well. So, I mean, there's some really cool stuff there, but yeah.
Agreed. The witches.
What do you think about Ezra not taking his lightsaber back?
Oh, he just needs to at this point. Okay, for me, anyways. I don't know. I think it'll call to him.
I think we'll see him build a new saber. I think that he feels like that's not his anymore.
Right.
He also hasn't picked one up in 10 years.
Yeah. And he says the Force is his ally.
Man, I wish I could use the Force like he did.
Well, I mean, we could see. I mean, like, 10 years of isolation and meditation. I mean, that was one of the things in a lot of the old lore was that a lot of these Jedi that attain certain levels of power. They're not really running around with lightsabers anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They don't really need them. So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I saw a few people right before I got online that were comparing it to Luke throwing away his saber. And
I was thinking that myself. I would have to admit it. We're getting into that role where, and I wonder if it's a symptom of Boken Jedi.
Well, he didn't throw it away, so I'll give him a pass.
I'll give him a pass.
Yeah, because he gave it to Sabine. But here's the other thing. That moment also kind of reminded me of when she gave Bo-Katan the Darksaber. Here. Sabine she handed off the Darksaber. She wanting to hand off the lightsaber. And it's like, that's why I kind of go, why doesn't she just embrace being a Mandalorian and cruise? Like, let's go. But wouldn't it be cool if all of a sudden we all saw Sabine though and down in the Mandalorian? Never know. Could happen. Just saying. Sorry. That's a whole nother show for another day.
So, I mean, this comment isn't using a lightsaber like riding a bicycle. You never forget. I don't think it's that he can't wield it. I'm just not sure he wants to.
Right.
Yeah,
and whether that's him, he initially refuses to pick up to take a blaster as well. Once the stormtroopers show up, he does pick up a blaster.
Yeah. Force, he got push come to shove. He was like, okay, game on. So.
I want to go back and re-watch some of those Rebels episode where he actually does communicate with Yoda. Because I think there might be some clues there as far as the meditation, the spirituality, the growth of him as a Jedi or as a Force user in this galaxy. And I think that might explain why he just does not want the mechanical aspect of the Jedi that is manifested in this lightsaber.
Yeah, maybe so.
I
mean, I'll be curious to see. I mean, I think we'll get some thoughts on that. I mean, obviously we're moving forward with the character now, so we will learn more about where his mindset is. But overall, I'm happy with the character. I know there were a lot of people that were determined that he was evil now but I'm glad he's not. Like, I don't think, I mean, I don't think Filoni took us to this juncture to have one of them be evil at this point.
Right.
I think we're setting up our heroes for a new fight. So,
yeah.
I think Shin is going to be a really interesting character going forward. Before we wrap, kind of last question here. Do you think Shin headed back to the Star Destroyer, or did she go looking for Baylan?
Star Destroyer. I think Star Destroyer.
I mean, I think she's probably doing what her master told her to do, which was to go be part of this new empire.
Right.
That's what she wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm still waiting to see if she'll switch, because it's like her or him. There's this moment of which one's going to switch, because I feel like one or the other is going to switch. But we'll see. Yeah.
See, I don't think either of them are going to switch in this show now. I think she's going to be a player in the movie. And I still think Baylan's gonna unlock something real bad next week.
We'll see.
Yeah. God, what can it be? There was
either that or he's going to ultimately be very disappointed in what he finds.
Oh, yeah, but part of me then would rather him unlock something.
He's chasing a fairy tale. It could be something that's been gone for thousands of years at this point.
Yeah, that's intriguing to me. Similar to when, Ezra and Kanan found the dead Jedi and Sith at was it Malachor?
Malachor, yeah.
And there were lightsabers laying all over the place, and there was a few with cross guards, which at the time the only cross guard Jedi we knew was Kylo Ren. And
I'm almost surprised they didn't give Balin a cross guard since they went for the full-on European knight fighting
Mhm.
style. I'm really
Mhm.
surprised they didn't go for the cross guard.
yeah.
Mhm. Next week will be good. I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
Is
getting a
it
little
Tuesday yet?
longer than our previous immediate reactions. But any final thoughts before we wrap it up for the night?
No, I'm just excited.
I'm excited. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like I said, the newness of everything just kind of you know, makes me happy. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And Shin bouncing on a howler. Can't go wrong with that. Sorry, chat.
I guess we'll have to see if Sabine's howler makes the trip back to our other galaxy.
I
Yeah,
know.
that would be
I
kind
was
of
waiting
cool.
for that howler to actually like jump into action, and no, it was hiding. I'm like, son of a biscuit. I thought I was going to protect her, and then it didn't. So I got that one wrong. Oh well, no biggie.
Yep. Thanks as always for showing up, Megan. Thanks to everybody else that showed up in the chat. Did y'all have any more thoughts before we wrap, other than Shin on a howler?
It's gonna be a long in between the seasons.
It is, but
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that they give us something really special next week. I mean,
And I
this
hope
whole
it's
show,
longer
I
than
really
45
think this
minutes.
whole show's been pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really, there's still a lot of weight goes on that finale. So, is there an opposite to the Bendu?
Not in current lore unless they create something new, but
See, that's where I'm with this is, are they going to create something new? Filoni has talked a lot of times about why create something new when there's something in
something there.
Legends that fans
Right.
have already embraced.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that will be the case here.
So, I mean, we could be looking for something to do with the Prime Jedi. We could be looking for something with the Zepho. This seems to be sort of a merging place of a lot of force sensitive cultures.
And a lot of lore from Legends.
Yeah. He has a lot of Legends stuff kind of coming into play here. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But thank you again to everybody that showed up in the chat tonight. Let's run around the room real quick and let everybody tell what they got coming up and what you got, when you're going to do your full review and all that, whatever else you got going on. Ro, I'll let you start.
Sure. So we go live Saturday nights. We're going to review this show at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Look for #ScarifLive. I'm dropping a new episode, audio episode of the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast on Thursday. It's a quick cuts episode. We've got various guests. Andrew, you are one of them. We talk about 3 different things. 3 different short topics that should be a lot of fun, and a Sentry Mode Q&A with our friends Amanda and Gilbert from Level Up Arcade. Answer a couple of questions. You guys can see how they did, and we have a couple of voicemails from previous shows. Nicole called in and talked about what'd you talk about? I was just editing that now. Top 5 characters, movie characters.
You know how hard that was. I was dying.
Took you 2 tries.
It did. And I almost went a third.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's we got that going. Quick announcement. October 14th, where Red 5 is doing a collector's showcase. So I'll be posting that on both the Scarif account and Red 5 as the date gets closer. But there's a couple of us that really want to talk about some of our favorite collectibles in our own collection. So that should be a lot of fun.
I'll have to get the shield off the wall.
I might have something new by then. So yay.
Excellent.
All right, Nicole, what have y'all got coming up?
All right. Well, I'm Nicole of Peace Love Fandoms on Twitter and Instagram, one half of Peace Love Disney on Facebook, and 1/3 of actually Used and Abused. So Kim and I this upcoming Sunday are going to be talking. We're starting the month of October off with the Gothic, the Scream Queens, as we call them. I'm excited. We're doing something completely different. We're very excited to kind of explore, the Bride of Frankenstein, Morticia, and many more of our favorite characters. And then the following Sunday, we're actually going to be reviewing Ahsoka as a whole.
Oh,
I'm very excited. Kim is very excited. We've been planning this one out for a while. And we're going to take a small little hiatus because we got some work stuff that has to happen. However, we're coming back in December. But on the in-between, as some of y'all know, I'm also heading up the Red 5 book club. So I'm going to be busy. And then somewhere along the lines, I think there's something with the Muppets, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Stay tuned. So,
All right. All right. So we'll be back. I think this week we're going to be back on Thursday night to talk Ahsoka, to do our full review with Marisha here. So we'll be doing that on Thursday, and we do have Muppets coming up. Stay tuned for that. We had to reschedule our trivia event, trying to get everybody. It's hard to get that many people on the same page, especially when you're in different time zones. So we're trying to get that set up, but we will be doing the trivia event, and once we get that kicked off, we're planning on doing a trivia event every month. So we got that coming, and I think that's pretty much it for right now. But thank you again to everybody that joined us in the chat. We very much appreciate it. You make the show so much better with all your comments and participation. We definitely appreciate it. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.